Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paraversal Universe. Excuse me. Okay. Welcome back to Paraversal Universe on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET 101.7 FM terrestrially, as well as the Rift Radio Network family and the EPPRN on Blog Talk. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jennifer Malik. We're glad you are with us, as always. Sorry about that. Something distracted me for a second. Anyways, we want to tell everyone that starting this weekend, and we were going to start this last weekend, but we had to postpone it a week. But we're going to offer the T-shirt for the logo and painting for Lake Monstrosities for purchase. Half the proceeds will go to charity and the specific cause to help 8-year-old Daniel D. Miza, who suffers from Dravet syndrome and seizures on a regular basis. The other half of the proceeds will go to making more shirts to continue the endeavor. This is the son of our graphic art director, Lawrence D. Miza, the same little boy who painted our logo picture for Lake Monstrosities that we use to this very day. Lake Monstrosities is a group on Facebook dedicated to aquatic mysteries and wonders. This is the most excellent way to give back to the Miza family for all their friendship, artwork, and graphic art they provide every week and for the show. And of course, Lake Monstrosities, like I said, the largest social media group outlet dedicated to aquatic mysteries and wonders. So look for those shirts coming soon here. It's a great group, great artwork, great T-shirt, and most importantly, a good cause, a great cause. So, yeah, look for that. This segment is brought to you by the 5-star Reader Choice Award-winning epic fantasy trilogy Helm by Robert L. Malik. All right, back to the show. This is Paraversal Universe, and we are in the Paralogian report mode. And who's next?
You.
I am. Okay. So what I have is from LasVegasNow.com. Looks like Channel 8. And this is by George Knapp and Matt Adams. February 26, 2019. Las Vegas. I'm looking for the title here. Okay. I-Team, Nevada's Triangle, Unexplained Disappearances. 11 years ago, this month, hikers found identification belonging to Steve Fawcett, who was a famous aviator, and adventurer that had vanished a year earlier. The vast search for Fawcett focused attention on what is now called the Nevada Triangle. It's not. It's an area not nearly as infamous as the Bermuda Triangle, but has seen actually far more disappearances. In 2007, famed aviator Steve Fawcett flew out of a landing strip in northern Nevada and vanished. For months, searchers combed the rugged mountains looking for Fawcett. What they found were 8 other plane wrecks that no one knew about. By one estimate, 2,000 planes have vanished in the last 60 years in what the pilots call the Nevada Triangle, the vast area between Las Vegas, Reno, and Fresno. That averages out to about 3 planes per month, far more than even disappear in the Bermuda Triangle that we know of. Scientists have determined that strong winds from the Pacific create a powerful downdraft when they cross the Sierra, strong enough to slam small planes into the ground. But many of the aircraft have gone missing weren't small at all. A B-24 bomber and other military craft among them. The Nevada Triangle, a graveyard for planes. Powerful winds and treacherous weather are major factors in why so many planes crash or vanish in what's called the Nevada Triangle. But it's far more than just planes that disappear. It's also people. 10 strange facts about the Nevada Triangle. Then I pulled out a map of Nevada and California and almost fell out of my seat because the larger cluster zone we've established is that of the Nevada Triangle. And there's 2 other cluster zones also that in that triangle were the words of David Paulides, investigator and author of Missing 411 books. For 9 years, the former police officer turned author David Paulides has scoured through about 20,000 missing person files based on very specific criteria. He whittled them down to about 1,200 seemingly inexplicable mysteries, people who vanish under unusual circumstances. In a series of books, Missing 411, Paulides has identified dozens of clusters, many of them national parks or forests, where the number of missing is way out of the ordinary. 3 of those clusters exist within the Nevada Triangle, including, at the top of the list, Yosemite National Park. There's no concrete one item that can say is causing that. And that's because of no tracks, no scent trail, no witnesses. We've had people say it's got to be UFOs, it's got to be reptilians, Bigfoot, dogmen, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. In reality, I don't think you can say it's just one thing, Paulides said. Often the missing vanishes into thin air while others, hikers, let me say that again. Often the missing vanishes into thin air while with other hikers. That's better. Dogs are unable to pick up any scent. There are no tracks. Small children who vanish are found a day later many miles away, over mountain ranges. Human abductions and animal tracks are ruled out. For years, Paulides requested lists from the National Park Service, but was told they don't keep any such list. More recently, Yosemite officials have opened up. It might be 10 years later, you find a shoe, a piece of clothing, said Scott Griedman, Yosemite National Park Ranger. Paulides has also investigated cases closer to home, including the 1966 disappearance of 6-year-old Larry Jeffrey of the Henderson, who vanished with his family on Mount Charleston in 1977, case of a missing woman near Topona. While some have tried to link the mystery to Area 51 military base, but that facility is far to the east of the Triangle's boundaries. While speaking to a national conference of search and rescue experts, Paulides was addressed by a pair of state troopers. They said, "Dave, you're talking about things that nobody in this room wants to talk about. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody here faces it, but nobody wants to talk about it." So that's the article.
I think the first thing that comes to mind when I hear about something like this, one of many factors certainly seems, and we've talked about this, I can't even count on 2 hands how many times, portals.
It's a possibility.
There's a possibility that people could actually be walking into portals and not realizing it. You have the whole Bigfoot theory. You have dogmen. You have serial killers. You have so many avenues that you can go down.
Yeah, and I think
it's mind-boggling, but it makes you wonder, and that is an interesting article.
That is a great article.
And I think that I think it's a little of everything, because, he's looked at David Paulides, for example, and I'm sure others at this point have looked at these cases, and if they're like, we were not finding anything that can rule everything else out, and we can say it's this, and that tells me that there are variations of what's going on. So it may be like, it could be a plethora of things,
right?
Including bizarre things, bizarre abductions for various reasons. So, Jean?
What was weird about Paulides' research was that these disappearing people were disappearing from the perimeters of national parks, the edges, the boundary between parkland and non-parkland. He got chummy with National Forest Service employees who rotate as part of their service. They rotate around parks every few years. And they reported similar phenomenon basically everywhere they went. And that it got, not only did it get no media attention, the Park Service is trying to sweep it under the rug. Because who will want to visit a national park if there's some chance you'll up and disappear? And there were freaky cases where the parents were hiking around a ridgetop path and basically a grassy meadow with one tree or shrub in the middle blocking the view of their campsite. It was basically a truck with the tailgate down and an awning, and kids, 2 or 3 kids playing on the bed of this truck on a mattress, having a great time, laughing. You could hear them. They were just being kids, just being themselves. The parents lose sight of the truck behind this one piece of vegetation, and when they come out the other side, one of these kids is gone. And they found his traces. I believe it was one of those cases where he was found at a much higher altitude. His body was found at a much higher altitude. And in many of these cases, the victims are missing their shoes. They're partially undressed. There was a creepy case where two searchers were sweeping the woods, looking for a young man who knew the woods, was a hunter, had gone missing, just didn't come back. And there was a grid search. 2 working as a pair came upon a very large fallen tree. One of them decided to go around it. The other went over the top. And it was as tall as him, probably, that big of a tree. It was substantially big to be formidable. So he got on top, and he got there first. And he looked down, and he was looking down on a pair of pants, blue jeans, that looked like a person had removed them by just unbuckling and dropping trow. And they were inside the boots, but there were no socks. And the shirt was nearby in a bush or something, as I recall. But what was really gruesome was that the remains of this guy, or at least shredded bones, fiber-sized bone fragments were analyzed at the scene, and they littered the ground. Like something had chewed this guy, which doesn't discount what Jen said about a portal. If you came across a very potent energy field and you weren't expecting it, couldn't. I mean, who knows what it could do? Not saying it couldn't.
So we are at the very tail end of the show. I'm going to read through this quick. Thank you, Jean and Kat, for coming on in such short notice and hanging with us.
Yes, thank you.
Such a pleasure. That was a great article.
Always fun.
I'm sorry, we don't have more time. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to Paraversal Universe. We'd like to thank our guest, Jax Menez Atwell, for a fantastic interview during the first hour, and Kat Hobson and Jean Breida for their correspondence during the second half. Next Friday will be a full episode of the Paralogian Report, so check that out. We will be back here next week with more of this. And feel free to support any of the networks mentioned